Africa, the second largest continent, yet it contains the world's largest number of victims of the AIDS pandemic. The future of Africa, an uncertain one, suffers from more disease and famine than anywhere else on the globe.
This is a world, it's a global problem.
You can't live like this.
I wouldn't want to grow up anywhere else except for here.
Why South Africa is so cold and so clear?
The truth is, nobody wants to adopt an HIV-positive kid.
The HIV virus is a virus that mutates very quickly and builds up resistance.
The children are suffering out there.
I came to South Africa to learn more about the HIV and AIDS epidemic and how its children are suffering. During my research in London, I got in touch with Tilly, the manager and carer at St Francis. A very well-managed hospice, St Francis offers children as well as adults the highest quality of aid, the best medication, food and warm beds.
How old is she?
2 months. She has a young mother.
Yeah.
Mother arrives at the hospital, gives birth, and the mother says she has no fixed place to stay. She's from the informal settlements. The alleged father is in prison. Mother's HIV positive, so the mother said, I can't cope with the baby. Others give birth. They go into the hospital with a false address, give birth, and vanish immediately. They initially test HIV positive because they still have the antibodies of the mom in them. We retest at 6 months, and we'll do a final test at 18 months, and some of them do revert and are actually negative. The challenge for us would be to find a suitable foster or adoptive parent for her. We have that relationship that once our children reach school-going age, they move on to Epworth. But we always still, if they need further care, they always come back to St Francis. So we've got a very good working relationship as far as that's concerned. And, you know, with this illness, your problem is they do, from time to time, develop opportunistic illnesses. So they have their better days and their less better days, and you just have to monitor them all the time. And then particularly once they're on antiretroviral drugs, you know, the adherence factor is of utmost importance. We've been very encouraged at the antiretroviral clinic. We started in September, and we've had people that have come for counselling and testing, and after they've had their counselling here, they've been able to go home and actually convince their partners to come for testing as well. We won't treat anybody that wants to be dealt with in secrecy. They must either disclose to a partner or to a parent, and we also want to meet those people. For 2 reasons. One is to help with the monitoring of the adherence, and secondly, as a support system for that person. You have to be absolutely sure that they are going to be committed to their medication and adhere. Otherwise, you're developing resistance. The HIV virus is a virus that mutates very quickly and builds up resistance. Our whole mission is to provide a haven where people can die with dignity and warmth and love and care. We average about 35 deaths a month. When we see that the person is reaching the end, either the sisters or the care helpers or volunteers will sit with that person and just hold their hand or just be there. We really don't want people to die alone. We don't refuse anybody treatment, and also regarding payment, nobody is refused. Most of our patients here are not able to pay. So we're very, very dependent on fundraising and donations.
I'm going home. I'm going home.
It was reassuring to see these children were so well cared for, and knowing that eventually they would be given the opportunity to pursue school. I could only think how less fortunate circumstances would present themselves.
It's time for us as our parents to tell our children about AIDS.
We have the knowledge, but we have the tendency of trying to ignore it as if it's not useful. That's our problem.
After meeting with Tilly, I had arranged a quick stop-off en route back to camp to meet up with a lady named Sue, who helped run a Toa, an independent daycare centre run by herself and other volunteers from the community, offering underprivileged families meals, money and nursing children under school-going age.
The prime objective of this project is to care for AIDS orphans. Our criteria is that one or both parents will have died with AIDS. We have 23 young adults who run our program, all of whom have been trained in counselling and about care of children and abuse of children and loss and grief and a whole variety of things. They did almost a year's full-time training. The youngest one is 19 and the oldest is about 35. They volunteered for a whole year and they are all members of this community.
How's it been growing up around here?
What I am today is because of the community that I grew up in and the environment that I grew up around. So I wouldn't want to grow up anywhere else except for here. If I can inspire one kid to be like me, in turn he will inspire maybe another one. So in 10 or 20 years' time, we'll have a stronger community.
The mother's HIV is at the age of 31. And they survive with 170.
170 rand
A month.
a month?
Yes.
For four people?
For 4 people. And not only those 4 people.
£15 in English money.
The main problem also which we overcome here is that one of, you find out the child has got no birth certificate and what he can't get that grant. So we also arrange for them with social workers so that they can get that grant. I've got also other child who was at the age of 7. They call him Mr. H. So that child is no more playing with the other children because they call him with the other name. Mr. H. Children now are suffering out there. Yeah. Sure. Serious. And people are not aware about this disease.
Unfortunately, HIV and AIDS is not discussed enough. Could the taboo that has stigmatized the virus be the reason for it falling out of control? Even though my visit to a Toa was short, it showed the help that the people amongst the community are doing for their own. Although they had only just really started their project, it looked promising for the future ahead.
This is a world, it's a global problem. It's not just African, it's not just South African, it's a global thing. And we need to join hands and do something about it. We need to be motivated, we need to move into action. Faith without action is dead.
The next day I visited Aikaliethu, a small children's home that cares for 24 children living under the same roof. Miss Mashanini and Tesepo care for all these children and work for nothing. So these are your kids?
Yes.
So what's the situation?
Bad. This is very bad. Poor.
And these children, where they come from?
From abandoned, orphaned, neglected HIV and AIDS.
Neglected AIDS,
Yes.
orphans. And they live here?
Yes, 24 hours. Someone inside.
How are you? You okay? I'm good. I'm Temple, man.
Nice to meet you, young James. After setting up 3 years ago, 7 children aged 4 still share the same bed. Everywhere I looked, it could be seen they were not getting the funding and donations they needed. Many children have been rejected by their families and pushed to the streets because of the reflection that people affiliate with HIV and AIDS. They would rather keep their status less obvious within the community. This way a normal life is more likely.
Tawang, he was found in a black bag in the streets of a corner in the township. Him and his brother.
So the parents will never be found?
No, they just left them there like that. Because when a child is born like that, it's pretty obvious they're HIV positive. And they don't want to reveal their status in the community.
Because they obviously have HIV.
Yeah. check. That's where everything gets cooked. Every time there has to be somebody in the kitchen to watch them, to watch the kids.
It's very dangerous.
It's very dangerous. We use gas to cook.
I mean, they can just be underneath it, can't they?
Yeah, sometimes they go underneath. Some months get bad, and we don't get that many people donating. Sandile's mother died of AIDS after it was just 2 months after he was born.
Thabiso and Thabang were not the only stories of neglected children. Amongst the many, there was one that made my mind stumble. The police were called in to report a blocked drain. A baby no less than 8 months was the cause. In most countries, this would be a major crime. I couldn't come to terms with my feelings. It moved me to see children so content, who had so little, yet happier than most.
Moji moji. Moshi moshi. Moshi kichiko.
The truth is, nobody wants to adopt an HIV positive kid. And when you find them, they don't have like a birth certificate or anything. The government has got a grant for them and whatnot, but you can't get that because you don't have proof of their life, where they come from. So that's why sometimes it gets bad, like when we don't get anybody donating anything. But it could be a little bit better, man, if you could get somebody, you know, to help out. As space we've got, we just don't have any structures, and all the little money that we get or whatever, it all goes into food and that.
Shop.
Families have rejected their children, leaving them homeless.
Cheers, Butte.
Children are left to fend for themselves. Most have not even learned to walk. If it weren't for these carers, they would be left to starve and die. This would be the last time that I would see Tsepo. I hope that one day we will meet again. Today I would meet with people from the informal settlement of Jukathol, Germiston. In Jukathol, Germiston, it was arranged that we would meet a 16-year-old named Doreen. She would be our guide and introduce us to carers, as well as be our translator. Doreen led us first to Margaret, an elderly volunteer who lives on her own. Margaret cares for children as well as adults. Working from a small hut, she feeds and administers medicine to her patients.
Out my pocket, everything.
No one helps you?
Nobody helped me. I support this patient with my money from pension. It's too much work, this.
How many people come to you every day?
Oh, it's too much, it's too much. Now my place is too small. From 1993, I'm working. I try to apply for government and make a condition, everything, but no answer, no nothing. These people eat in my pocket. 740. I share with my child and suffer people. Learn two seman. Please.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I couldn't meet any of her patients on this particular day, so I rearranged to come back the next. We were then taken to Normsa, another carer who administered medicine to sick people around the area of Jukathol.
Thanks.
This is for Bambanani home-based care. We are doing the home-based care from the people who are HIV positive and the people who's got TB. We are treating the whole community, people who are very sick. These are the volunteers who are working with. We are looking for a place, actually. It's not right to working in here because that room is too small. When you come here, you will see it's a little bit dark.
Very
coming
dark,
from
yeah.
outside there. But while you wait along here, then you'll see.
And you have no light in here?
No. The thing is, if you're coming out, it's too dark.
Yeah. So, I mean,
That's
how do you see what you're doing?
No, we see. Like now, while I'm sitting here, you can see everything if you are not there. Here we've got lots of patients. It's about 100 and something patients. Sometimes other month they're coming less. Sometimes the other month they are more. Because some of them maybe 6 in 1 month they passed away. They've died. On Thursday, we teach them.
Due to lack of education, many adults think that HIV can be transmitted by sharing cutlery, drinking from the same water, and even without interaction. The stigma that people choose to associate with the virus has led to many people being untrue about their status and passing it on. Many may not even realize they are carrying. Normster introduced me to a young boy of 20 named Nati. He found out 6 months ago that he had caught the AIDS virus. When we met, he was extremely thin and weak. Talking was even an effort for him. A major concern was the unbearable condition that most of these terminally ill patients live in. Due to lack of funding, there were no hospitals that treated these patients in a comfortable and clean environment. Most suffered in unbearable conditions. Nati's room was like an oven.
The mother came to me. Then now he's busy. He's on a treatment.
Nati wished that we would refrain from filming him due to his status being revealed.
The parents